what kind of questions do come, what to do, what not to do, the time distribution, paper presentation, special tips by our seniors, the resources, also about the practicals. Yes, we will also cover the vivas, and at the end of every subject we will have a Q&A session where you will ask questions in case you have to our very friendly seniors. Next. So we have three presenters today. For pharmacology, we have Sharvil Gandhi. For pathology, we have Shriya Raul. For microbiology, we have Abdullah Siddiqui. So let's get started.
So, hello everyone, I am Sharvil Gandhi, third minor MBBS, St. J's Medical College in KEMH. So, I'll be talking about pharmacology, how to study for the MUHS and in general, how to prepare for it. So, yeah, let's get started. Next. So, according to a paper pattern, you have 20 MCQs, 1 mark each for 30 minutes. So, and as usual, there are no negative markings. So, in MHS as well as the internal exams, the question will be kind of basic. Some will be factual, some will be conceptual. One or two MCQs may be out of the box. So it's necessary that you just hang on to the low-hanging fruits rather than going for the tough ones, because there's no meaning to just study for one or two questions that you can or cannot answer. So like attempt all the questions since there are no negative markings. For example, like MCQs can be life saving as well. Like कभी कभी टफ पेपर आ जाता है तो like MCQ saves you and also helps you get a distinction. So it's advisable that you complete your MCQ within first 15 minutes because you will get the question paper and answer sheet along with the MCQ. So if you complete within 10 to 15 minutes, you will get 15 minutes extra for your theory questions. So yeah, next. So like for example, like there are direct questions that like direct factual questions like what is the antidote for paracetamol? Like N-acetylcysteine, naloxone, exams, British Intelligence said. Answer is N-acetylcysteine, which is a direct factual question. And these type of questions are usually asked. And there will be so few conceptual questions like this will test your concepts like according to mechanism of actions and other stuffs. Like for example, which of the following infection aminoglycoside is not given? Like Pseudomonas tetanus, MTB, tularemia. So like, we all know aminoglycosides are not effective against anaerobes. So the tetanus is the correct answer because it's caused by Clostridium tetani, which is an anaerobic organism. Like for this kind of question, if even for this kind of question, even if you don't know the answer, like you can, their options will be such like they will help you to get to the answer by elimination. For example, in this case, MTBA, tularemia, and Pseudomonas. Aminoglycosides is given as drug of choice for in most of the cases, and it's a direct statement in the textbooks. Even if you don't know about tetanus, the after elimination only tetanus gets left. So you can come to answers by elimination. It's kind of simple that way. Next. So most common type of question usually asked in MCQ will be like directly like antidotes like for example paracetamol, route of administration of special drugs like nitrate is given by sublingual route, and specific side effects like expired tetracyclines can cause Fanconi's anemia. These are direct questions. Mechanism of action like aminoglycoside acts by inhibiting protein synthesis. Classifications, drug of choice for certain conditions like syphilis, penicillin is given. Teratogenic effect of drug like carbimazole, ADRs which are given, which will be taught in practical. Schedules can be asked sometimes for MCQs which are to be read from journal, and there are special schedules for pregnancy like which drugs to give for pregnancy and not. There are special schedules X, A, B, C, D. Which you can read from internet as well as some reference book from Ranjan Patel or Garg also. So like these are so it's necessary that you score in MCQs because the MCQs are really easy right, in pharmacology at least. Yeah, next. So like then your SAQ and LEQ combining 80 total 80 marks. So like and one question is of 8com which is 7 marks, that is kind of a free question. So for both of the questions, like it's necessary to write to the point. Like do not indulge in paragraph writing because since your time is also valuable in exam and it doesn't read much often. Draw flowchart wherever you like. Like your entire answer sheet should be full of flowcharts. Underline the main points. Write the thing which are to be written. Don't write aju baju ka unless you don't know the answer. LAQ, for you, LAQ doesn't have much choice, but the LAQ will be structured in such a way that you will have three sub questions, which is just like the SAQ. So like, and the question will be kind of simple. So like, just write to the point, and it will be fair enough. Next. For their typical questions used in given in pharmacology, like write the uses of anticholinesterase. So like for starting with the answer, start with what are anticholinesterase. Classify in brief, like what are anticholinesterase, classify direct, indirect, irreversible, reversible, whatever you like. Mechanism of action, like what is the mechanism of action? It inhibits cholinesterase and increases synaptic level of cholinergic transmission. They should be written in brief in just like flowchart points or tables or diagrams. Then come to the uses. Like if it's given as an SAQ question, write at least 4 to 5 common uses. And by common uses, I mean like start with the things which are for which they are most used for. Like don't write something which so don't write something rare use first, then it's of no point. For example, they are used most common for myasthenia gravis, like they are the drug of choice for myasthenia gravis. So like you should write myasthenia gravis. They expect you to write myasthenia gravis. Even if you write some rare usage, it's of no use because see, if you won't write the things which are used, they are used for clinical, then it's of no point. So if time permits, expand the answer accordingly. Write the side effects at the end. This will fetch you some brownie points. Just that's it. Next. For questions like write the rationale behind the use of like any drug for any condition. Here, for example, thiazide for hypertension. Write about thiazide, like what is the thiazide? It is a medium chain diuretic. What is the mechanism of action? Blocks sodium chloride channel NADCT. And stress on the point why thiazide particularly used for hypertension. Like don't write as a aju baju ka use. Stress on the particular thing which is asked. Like it is used for hypertension because it reduces blood volume, causing net sodium deficit, leading to decreased systolic arterial blood pressure. This is the thing here. This is the thing they ask for. Like if you write Ajubaju, it's fine, but write the thing which is to the point. That will fetch you marks. And if time permits, also write why other drugs of the same class, like for example furosemide or spironolactone, is not preferred over thiazide, just in 1 or 2 lines. This will give you some extra marks. Yeah, next. For you, I have seen kind of questions like P drug using step criteria. This is a question that you get in practicals as well as now you get in theory also. So for P drugs, like you should know what the step criteria is, like its efficacy, suitability, safety, and cost. So for example, if a patient comes you with bronchial asthma, and you want to treat it, and you want to give it a pre-drug. So like it is important to know what kind of drugs are usually given for bronchial asthma. You should know the classification of a drug, like bronchodilators, methylxanthines, IG inhibitors, master stabilizer. You should list the drug in order of most commonly used to more reserved drug. Like let's first start with bronchodilators, beta agonist, then anticholinergics. Start in that order. Then make columns like for what is the drug, what is the class, and it's important that you mention the route of administration. Just don't write salbutamol. How is salbutamol should be taken? It should be taken metered-dose inhaler. So MDR salbutamol. What is its mechanism of action? Like beta agonist, beta 2 agonist. What is the efficacy? It's quite efficacious because research has proven that, and also clinical trials. How it is suitable or not. And in safety, write 1 or 2 side effect, and just write at the end that safety to the risk to the benefit ratio is lesser here, so hence it is given, hence it is preferred. And cost, like cost actually if you don't try then also fine because just write it's suitable for the cost because we can't know the cost for sure. So based on the information that you return on the table, just conclude below that P drug for the P drug for the patient is MDS-salbutamol because of the following reasons. This is how you deal with such type of questions, and these are kind of free questions because it's just you should know the classification of the drugs. That's it. Nothing more to be learned. So yeah, next. So like these are the kind of questions that you usually get. Apart from it, you can get just the write the use of the following drug, classify the drugs like classify anti-diabetic drugs. So you classified oral, parenteral. In oral, we have oral hypoglycemic, parenteral, accordingly. What are the mechanisms of action of following this? For example, this were we were asked like what is the mechanism of action of phenytoin? Write about the side effect, everything about phenytoin. So this type of question you can be asked. Rationale behind the use of the drug, and importantly, you can get the line of management, which are like line of management of following conditions. The important ones which are usually asked like marketed infection, status epilepticus, asthmaticus, diabetic ketoacidosis, and organophosphochloroprotein. And these are to be actually read from KDT or prescription booklet. They are given very accessible, like to the point and stepwise management is given. And anywhere where you learn there's a line of management. For example, methanol poisoning also. That's also important. So like read that अच्छे से like they are usually asked in either in multi-drug prescription in practicals as well as in MUH's long answers. So like study that very carefully. Next. So like according to a time paper, you have more questions, but the questions are framed such that you can complete it very easily. Like pharmacology is a subject where paper doesn't get like paper छूटता नहीं है ज़्यादा because you have the answers are to be written in kind flowchart manner only, and MCQs are such that can be completed in 10 to 15 minutes very efficiently. So like for SAQs, you can give 75 minutes. But you can complete it well before 75 minutes. And here are just two LAQs which are sub questions. So like each LAQ can't take more than 10 to 15 minutes. So give 30 minutes to LAQ. So it totals to around 2 hours, 2 hours 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes more for correction and accordingly. So like it's very simple to complete a pharmacology well before time. So like time management is not an issue here. Yeah, next. Now, how to study pharmacology? It's kind of a vast subject and kind of a volatile subject, but it's an important part of a clinician. Like it's now for you since you are at home and under lockdown, it's important that you focus on concept rather than mugging up. And as well as by me and many other students, KDT is kind of tedious and difficult to remember. So personally, I referred Garg and Mero videos, which turned out to be really helpful for me, and refer KUT only for miscellaneous topics like few answers there or drug interaction and also for cross reference if you need. There are few topics, miscellaneous topics like ocular drugs, drug use in children, pregnancy or skin. You can access these topics from the PPT, like your department will take lectures on these topics. Either ask for the PPT or take screenshots while the lectures are done. If not, you can refer them from Satoska, they are given there. But if you don't want to read KDT, that's fine. But sometimes KDT is important for line of treatment or miscellaneous topics. I found Garg and Mero videos quite helpful. Next. Apart from reading, revision is also important because since it is a volatile subject, you need to constantly revise the topics so as to retain. And for me, retaining was a part of solving MCQs from Garg and Marrow. Like as you solve the MCQs, you read topics as well. If you don't know the MCQ, you just revise that topic. This helps you revise as well as retain the topic. So this is the only way you can just like master pharmacology. Next. So for reference book, KDT is the standard book. You can refer Kardzum, which was referred by me as well as my other colleagues. Garg and Ranjan Patel, like most of the students use now. Shanbag, for exam purpose, this book is highly recommended. Like I guess everyone use Shanbag because the information is easy to access and retain as well as the theory is given in the form of direct answers. Like so that you can just read the topic and this is the answer for that topic. Just read that. And for general pharmacology, it is uh, advisable to read Shanbag from the start only. Like for general pharmacology, Shanbag is recommended generally. Like we used to learn read Shanbag from start only for general pharmacology. As well as Shanbag helps you to crack the practicals as well for their dosage form wala thing. So like Shanbag is important. Next. For practicals, like it's necessary that you read the entire journal, like from every word of the journal, because they ask sometimes random definitions, random questions, especially graph and animal models. Animal models, the department will make you write in a journal. If they are not given, we can share it like how much models we have. So like just remind us for farm practicals, your division is like clinical pharmacy, you have 20 marks, in which you have dosage forms. Dosage forms read the three uh, chapters from the journal, enteral and topical and parental dosage from quite thoroughly, and refer to Sushruth folders and PPTs from the practical lectures. Sushruth folders are just folders where of three things where all the examples of the different dosage forms are given along with the uses and advantages and disadvantages. Your revision practical lectures will also be taken, and that PPT is also quite helpful. That PPT is included like in the Sushruth folder. Like हम लोग के बैच के लिए तो we have included in there. So and read disadvantages, disadvantages, and example of different route of administrations from Shanba. Like it's given very clearly and accessible. For dose calculations, this is the new thing. Like your dose calculation, revise the formula from journal KDT or any other source. One of our revision practical included a practical where all the dose calculations were taken. That PPT is also included in the Sushit folder. So like go to the question. The questions are really great. Uh, Other if you want other sources of practice questions from Marrow Question Bank, GURG, and department also. ORS preparation, IV drip settings. ORS preparation, it's necessary that ORS you should know the content of ORS, what are the advantages, disadvantages, do's and don'ts. It is given at the end of the journal. In IV drip setting, there is a question in the journal in parental dosage form about IV drip settings. Read the answer carefully. What are the do's and don'ts? And read the theory from the journal is given quite nicely. Next. Sorry, can you go back previously? Sorry. Huh. See, this clinical pharmacy is a kind of scoring thing because dosage form is not that tough. So you can score here. Dose calculation, they won't ask you much difficult calculations. They will ask you direct formula-based questions such as volume of distribution or drip rate. Drip rate is kind of tricky sometimes, but you will understand if you practice different questions. ORS preparation, I would be sending a direct questions from the journal. So like it should be scoring. So if you are not confident about the rest of the practical, here is a chance that you can score it. Next. Clinical formula is for 30 marks. Here we have prescription writing. Like you will be provided prescription booklet if you haven't not yet. It's necessary that you check that the prescription booklet is updated. So like for prescription writing, it will be of 5 marks. One will be multi-drug and one will be single drug prescriptions. So like if you don't write the format correctly, then it's of no use to write the prescription because they will first check the format, and format does not include marks. But if you write the wrong format, it will deduce your marks. So it's okay if the doses are not accurate, like but write the doses, but write the units correctly, like milligram माइक्रोग्राम का मिलीग्राम करके मत आना इतना ब्लेंडर में. So like and refer to PPT of a practical lesson on how to write the drugs in the prescription, like injectables are wrote first, then oral tablets. Like the lecture will be taken. If not, जब आए तब देख लेना. For uh, criticism, acknowledge the condition first. Like what is the condition given? Like if it is given amoebic liver disease, write 2 to 3 lines about it, that it is caused by protozoa Entammoma histolytica, and then carry on and find out the mistake and mention why it is a mistake, and mention the correct point with a reason. Like if a drug is given for a given condition, identify that drug which is given wrongly and write why it is given wrongly. And if a drug is not given and it should be given, then write that this should be given with a reason. And rewrite the correct prescription at the end. It is very important that you rewrite it. For example, refer to Sushrit folder and PPT from lecture practicals. This PPT is also included in the Sushrit folder. FDC, right? Like FDC is quite scoring in MUHS. So if if FDC is given, suppose salbutamol and budesonide, irrational, which is an rational FDC, then write about the drugs individually first. What is salbutamol, its mechanism of action, and why it is given for bronchial asthma. Budesonide, write about it and why it is given for bronchial asthma. And at the end, write why both of them can be given together and mention that it is rational or irrational. For example, Urvashi's mem PPT is the standard PPT where all the FDCs are given quite nicely. You can refer to that. ADR identification form folio is kind of new to us because ADR identification is only in our sports, and I don't think you have sports this time. So we will get back to if things get clearer. But there is a PPT which was taken for us during revision practicals, just on spots. It was 80 slides PPT, in which one section was ADR with different images and drugs given. So refer to that PPT as well because it's given really nice. As well as social folder, you can uh, what do you say refer to ADRs and the journal. Like journal is really good questions on ADR. Different types of cases are given and you are told to mention the ADR and the treatment. So go to the exercise thoroughly. P drug, like I explained the P drug now. Next, experimental pharmacology, kind of easiest. Like we have, you have to perform, I guess, beta dose inhaler demonstration or intramuscular injection on a dummy. So see the steps from the journal. Video demonstration is given in Shushit folder, and if possible, you can practice this in small groups. Like this could be really helpful. Okay, next. Communication is also new to us, but our practical were taken where we did the same thing. We practiced online among small groups regarding this, and it was really helpful. Like you know how to talk to a patient. So it's necessary to practice in small groups and read the journal that what they want. They are quite particular about all the steps. Even in MDI and uh, intramuscular injection, they have a paper in which all the steps are written, and they'll see that you have performed this step or not. So from the back of the journal, all these steps are given. So it's necessary if you that when you practice while all the steps are performed. Okay, next. Viva, you will have two Vivas, Viva 1 and Viva 2, regarding paper 1 and paper 2. So the questions will be kind of basic, not something out of the box. Some questions might be tough, but that's okay. It's necessary that you have confidence in yourself. Just stick to the basics and please do not panic. It's fine that you can't answer few of them. You are in a learning process. You get some few, you miss out on some. So it's okay. So just stick to our basics, and why will be done अच्छे से. Yeah, next. Any questions?
Yeah, are we supposed to learn every prescription in that prescription PDF? Like every prescription?
See, we can't say that because there are two prescriptions, single drug and multi drug. So single drug are quite unpredictable. You can't predict that. इस साल भी हम लोग को ऐसे आया था कि you can't predict single drug prescriptions, but they are quite easy. Like you have read the entire syllabus thoroughly at least once, then you can at least write what the drug is. But the thing comes in dosing and doses. But if you can't know the dose एकदम unit also अच्छे से, then you'll be in trouble. So it's necessary that for once you read the entire prescription booklet, and for multi-drug prescription you can actually predict because there are only few multi-drug prescriptions that can come for 3 marks. Like MI हो गया, diabetic ketoacidosis हो गया, status epilepticus हो गया. So you while reading the prescription booklet, you will know कि ये आ सकता है, ये नहीं आ सकता है. So read those one thoroughly that you know for sure that can come for exams. And for single drug prescriptions, just go through all the prescriptions once, and you will know that एक बार हो जाएगा तो you can recollect it quite easily in the exams. So it's not an issue.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Do we have more questions?
So for antimicrobials also, we should first study GARG and then we can go for KDT.
Yeah,
Uh,
I did that. Like I personally did that. I first uh, did GUR, then I revised from narrow lectures. Then if something something is missing from that, I refer KDT. Like for special cases like drug interactions and line of treatment, I refer to KDT. Otherwise, my prime source were Garg and Marrow lectures only. And for exams, Shanbag, you should revise Shanbag.
Okay, thank you.
Adding on to Sharvil, I would suggest everyone to at least do one textbook once, complete reading. Not for exams, just to get over second year.
एक बार पूरा पोर्शन अच्छे से कर लो लाइक ठीक है एग्जाम तो बाद में आएगा बिकॉज सिंस यू आर इन लॉकडाउन यू हैव गुड चांस टू ऑल्सो प्रिपेयर thoroughly फॉर नेक्स्ट लाइक यू कैन डू वन फुल सब्जेक्ट thoroughly. So like it's necessary that before MHS 2 months or during prelims, complete one standard textbook that you like to read. Like for me it was Garg. Just completely read it once so that during exams you won't be stressed, and also when you see the IMPs ka PDF, you will see most of the questions you can answer just by reading one book. You won't have to refer multiple sources. And also for exams like prelims and MHS, for MCQ you can practice from Garg and Marrow, but they are for future references. For MHS unique आता है but unique के questions you can't trust them fully, like they're previous year question but the answers given like are too wrong. So like you should know the concept like अच्छे से, because sometimes you can like read the wrong answer even if you know the right thing. And Bhalani का जो PDF है we'll update that, some updates are needed, so we'll once it updated we will forward to you. There is Devashi PDF for IMPs which covers a wider spectrum, so you can also refer that. But just don't go on IMPs and read for exam purposes. Now, like these are clinical subjects which these are preclinical subjects that will help you in medicine. Like your medicine will go smoothly if you know pharmacology, pathology, and microbiology. So like at least give it a complete read once. Repeat.
Drug question, what all points should be written? Because we have to make that one table, but apart from the table, what all is expected? Like,
See, P-drug is a drug which a doctor has for his own use. Like it's a personal drug, right? So like, but for a person, the steps given in journal, like what is a P-drug and how to select it. Like if I'm a doctor, I should know all the classes of the drug which are used for a particular condition. I will make a table for it. I will choose a drug which is most commonly used in my suitability and my other colleagues, and from that classification, I will pick one drug for which is here salbutamol in this example. So like you won't know the exactly all the things which should be right. Like you won't know the cost from right away. Like तुझे पता नहीं होगा cost क्या है. Just like it's suitable for cost is suitable for the patient. That table is the only answer here. उसके अलावा कुछ लिखना नहीं है. And at the end, right, why is MDR salbutamol is the P drug which is chosen by the doctor because it is less it gives less side effect. It is more suitable among the patients. Uh, it is easy to take, it is cost efficient. Like these are the points you should write at the end and conclude it, because more you write the more the examiner will get confused. So like just make a table about the headings and conclude it in the end.
okay, thank you.
And the step criteria, like whether we need to write in words or grading is okay. Like what is more, impressive as well as effective.
You don't write anything, like don't write in paragraph, just make a tabular form. That's enough. Like there are some examples in our journal that we have wrote for P drugs. We'll send you that. There also we wrote in tabular forms only, nothing much specific to be written.
I mean, means in tabular form only, but like in the suitability or in the safety, will write the side effects. Is it necessary or just grading will be okay? That its safety is 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5, like that.
No, don't grade that. Like you don't know the grading much. So like in safety, just that it is safe, but this is a side effect can be caused, but they're treatable. Just write one or two side effect and just write that it is treatable and manageable. In suitability, just as it is suitable. Don't grade it.
Okay, thank you.
where we can find the drip rate वाले questions?
like तुम लोग के lectures हुए हैं क्या, like practical lectures on calculation? I don't know. Okay.
There was one, but there wasn't much questions on that. It was on general pharmac वाले ज़्यादा.
No, no, okay. You're during your revision practicals, I guess one lecture will be taken where you will be like they will teach you all the different types of questions. There'll be kind of wide spectrum of questions as were taken. Uh, this PPT is included in the shoot folder. Like we have included that. You can just refer from the different. You can just refer different question set of questions, and if you don't find the answers, then you can refer to department for doubt clearing. Because more the questions you solve, more you will get familiar with it.
Okay, thank you.
I guess we can proceed with the next subject. Other questions can be done at the end as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Shriya. And before starting this pathology guiding session about your theory examinations, I would just like to state that whatever I will say is like how I and few of my friends have prepared for the examination, and your methods might be different, which can work pretty fine also. So I'll just give you a basic outline about what all is expected from you and what all you should be doing, and you can improvise on that on your own. So yeah. The question paper pattern distribution, I think you're well versed with it, and Sharvil has also explained it pretty well. So I don't think it needs a repetition again. It's the same for pathology too. So yeah. How do you start studying for university examinations? So like first of all, stating the but obvious that you have to finish your second year portion. So like whatever resources you're using, whatever video lectures, notes, just utilize them to your fullest potential and clear your concepts really well. I know this statement is very overused, that clear your concepts, but it is of the utmost importance because your pattern is also changed. So, you can't be sure ki 100% conventional IMPs say you will be tested or not. So, as a student also, and more importantly as a future doctor, as a clinician, you need to know all the basic pathologies, etc. So right now your utmost priority should be focusing on your concepts and not worrying about the university examinations. And like nobody is asking you to learn all the mutations, etc., everything. Like don't get overwhelmed by the portion of pathology. Just all you should know har ek system mein what pathology is there, like how do you clinically diagnose those, what markers are used, what investigations are to be done. If you start reading more less as a student and more as a clinician, this will help you to get to get well versed with medicine in a earlier stage. So that's a plus point of that. Now when your university exams are like approaching, like this phase may differ for different people. It might be 2 weeks for some people, it might be 2 months for some people, but whatever you feel comfortable at your own pace, you should start start a university focused revision phase. Like what you should do is while you're revising, like don't give special attention, don't give give special attention to the important topics, but don't give them the only attention. Like other topics require your attention too, because exactly concepts again. During the revision phase, I think like since the portion is huge, like once you start reading and once you come at the end of it, I am sure like you might be forgetting what you've learned in the starting, because like if you look towards the theory examination parts, like the writing stuff, etc., it's really huge. So what you can do is while you are revising जो भी important points है, you can look at the headings कि क्या headings है. Like Chinmay, can you please shift on to the next slide? Yeah, see. So for example, this one. So for example, we look at a question on pathways of spread of tumor. So you're just going through your book again, you're revising stuff, and now you are also preparing for the examination. So now you see that you see that this particular question is like 3 pages long in Harshmon. So I'm sorry, I think the headings are not visible, but it's okay. Like as I said, like look at the headings. So while looking at the pathways of spread of tumor, what you can do is see the basic headings. Like it's been divided into local invasion and metastasis. So local invasion may you have 2 headings, that is benign tumors and malignant tumors. And metastasis may you have 3 headings, that is lymphatic spread, hematogenous spread, and spread along the body cavities. So this is all everything. Like if you have had your concepts clear, ये सब बहुत basic stuff है. Like you can elaborate accordingly in your own language. But mind you that you should use like proper terminologies. Like it should not be your completely your, like it should be it should be not the textbook language, and it should not be your language also. It should be your understanding of the subject. So you need to use proper terminologies. Don't make the paper look too informal. But yeah, what I'm telling you is that if you just look at the headings now, under say you can fill on your own jitna bhi conceptual knowledge you have. And of course you have to draw diagrams. So anywhere, like there's a scope of diagrams everywhere in pathology. So that's it. That's how you can do a MUHS focused reading and not just do MUHSE. You have to do everything, and side by side SAB you can study. Chinmay, can you go back? Yeah. So as I said, you should know something related to all the pathologies. And yeah, so like when we speak about Gross and HNE diagrams, so see, like for example, if we take meningioma, abhi you must have learned कि meningioma है, it's a tumor arising from the arytenoid, its clinical features, mutations, etc. वो सब. But then if we look at the bigger picture, ये information it's enough for us to, like tumor markers जो भी है, this information is enough for us to as a clinician or for a viva or something. But to fill pages in the theory examinations, you require diagrams. So that's why diagrams are really important in pathology, because see, as Sharvil said कि examiner को time नहीं होता है to read every statement and etc. So he will judge you upon the diagrams you've given, because that will give you कि कितना concept तुम्हें समझा है. So that's why Gross and HNE diagrams are a must. And for people who find it difficult, to grasp the HNE the diagrams, etc. So during your revision phase, you can, start giving emphasis to these points as well, so that you don't have to cram up a lot of information at the end, and it will be a smooth journey for you. Yeah. Chinmay, next. Next. Yeah. So now we've done how I think everyone should be studying, and like my view on how everybody should study. Now, how and what do you write in the examination? Like, so yeah, so you then first of all I would like to say कि I think like हमारे इसमें तो we had limited set of questions, but you guys have a lot of questions, so it's a bit overwhelming to look at the paper at the start. So what you can do is you can spare 2 to 3 minutes in overlooking all the questions. Like देखो कि what you want to attempt, what is asked in the question, because that's very important. In a hurry, we end up writing what we know and we forget what is asked in the paper. So that's an important point. So you can sort all these thoughts in your mind in the first 2 to 3 minutes of looking at the question paper. The most important thing I would like to say for pathology is you should write less and draw more. And that is also a but obvious statement. Again, points are more important than paragraphs. So yeah, like when we speak of diagrams, it's just not कि कोई भी diagram घुसा दो कहीं पे. It's you should be able to use the diagram to write your answer. Like so you should use diagrams as a source of explanation. So yeah, Chinmay, next slide. So yeah, you have a question on differentiate between apoptosis and necrosis. So instead of listen, so you will write all these points etc. and the examiner will be like scanning his eyes to read everything. So instead what you can do instead of morphology, you can just fit in the diagram. It will be easier for you to draw also, and it will save you a lot of time, and it will tell the examiner ki haan, you know the concept. So you can do that. You can fit in diagrams wherever you can instead of text. So that is a advantage of having pathology, like writing pathology exam, because there are a lot of diagrams. Similarly, next slide. Yeah, similarly for atherosclerosis. Now, the pathogenesis of atherosclerosis, if you start writing it as a, as a only text, it might take you like one and a half or 2 pages to fill up. But instead, if you draw this diagram given in Robbins, like if you, just explain what is happening through diagrams, it requires very less, thing to be written, and it conveys more information diagrammatically also. And similarly, complications, pathogenesis, everything in pathology has a scope of diagram. Even if it's not given in the textbook and you feel that you might be able to, explain this better by using diagrams, you can make your own diagram. Next. Again, yeah, I've spoken a lot about diagrams till now, but yeah, that's all you require in pathology. So in FAQs, you have one gross and one micro. Like you have to draw, like usually there are questions explain gross and micro of this pathology, like that. And LAQ to pura hi diagram based hota hai. So like example again, thrombus, you've been given thrombus. So except definition, all the sub questions have a scope of diagrams. And yeah, this was a lot of confusion for us during our theory examinations. I would like to clear that. You can use color pencils for gross and peripheral blood smear, but for HNE only, but for microscopy only HNE should be used. Next. Yeah, so again, quantity is more important than quality. So I have seen my friends, like they draw the perfect nucleus inside each cell, and that takes up a lot of time, but it's really not required. The examiner just wants to see how you diagrammatically represent your thing, and of course, if you don't label, there is no point of drawing a diagram. So yeah, labeling is of the utmost importance. Yeah, now coming to MCQs. So MCQs are pretty basic, like they are not out of the box, like but whatever you solve for your competitive examinations, like whatever source you're referring to, is more than enough for MHS preparation. And yeah, MCQs can be asked from any topic. So it's not compulsory that they'll be asked from the IMPs only. So stains, characteristics, pathognomic features, important mutations, all these are some basic points upon which MCQs can be asked. So you can refer to Bhalani and unique MCQs, but then again, as Sharvil has said, that don't trust those answers, and you should cross-check them on your own. Like, it'll give you a basic idea of how the MCQs will be asked. So it's good if you do that before the exam. Yeah, so coming to the books. If you've read, so now there are a lot of options for pathology, and it can be really confusing, but let me tell you like one or max to max 2 books are more than enough. You do not need to go to multiple references just because udhar ek extra point diya hai. No need of like doing that. So see, if you've read Robbins, if you are reading Robbins right now, so it's not impossible, but it's actually a bit tough, to attempt your examinations only from Robbins. So what we did was, what everybody has been doing is that with Robbins, you can supplement another book, like Ramdas Nayak is a good book and Hashmoon is also a good book. So like you can, their PDFs are available online, so you can download them and see for yourself which language and which approach is better suited for your studying thing. And likewise, you can, start referring those books side by side for your MHS preparation. So, and this is for the people who've been reading Robbins. So for people who've been referring to Hirschman, what you can do is, you can use Hirschman again for theory exams. Like, no problem, it's perfectly a good combination. Then third option is, a few of my friends did that. They they studied Robbins, and then for Devesh Mishra, like Devesh Mishra is almost like a point-to-point bullet points of Robbins. So they did that book for revising concepts for the theory examination, and then you can refer your journal for the diagrams. So yeah, and for like a few topics like hematology or some systemic pathologies, whatever video lectures, etc., your resources which you've been referring to, you can refer those notes. Like, it's not compulsory for you to just do from a standard textbook. You can do those notes also for your theory examinations, and of course you'll have to refer the journal for diagrams. The journal has some good points, some good like chapters related to hematology and general pathology. So it's better if you just go through it and just see what all is given, because the journal, जो भी content journal में दिया रहता है, your clinical pathology journal, it's all from the important topics. Next. No, so that was it for the theory examinations. Now coming to practicals. This is like these are the criteria under which your practicals will be conducted. So let's just see through the resources, and then we'll discuss about each one of them. Next. So the PPTs which you will make as your revision practical, like this concept of PPTs it came for our batch it was done for our batch the first time since we had online lectures, and I think it will be done for you also. So the department will ask you all to make PPTs related to every system and all the topics that surround your practical applications. So they are the ultimate resource which you require for preparation of your practical examinations, because it will cover everything. Slides, specimens, urine, hemat, clinical, everything will be covered in those practicals. Discussing about each one of the practical aspects. So let's start with the slides. So see, a lot of even we had this prejudice कि slides तो कभी समझने ही नहीं वाला है, numbers learn करके जाएंगे ऐसे वैसे, but to be honest, you can't really trust that numbers learn करने वाला thing. And after inquiry from other batches, we got to know that the slides which they show in the examinations are pretty good, like they are of good quality. So do not have this prejudice कि तुम लोगों को identify करते नहीं आएगा, because pathology is all about identifying slides, and वही एक चीज you can't be also weak in. So see descriptions, see the slides पूरा दिया हुआ है journal में कि what descriptions you need to write in your paper, and how the how the pathology looks under a microscope. ये सब you as I said कि as and when you are revising, if you start focusing more on these microscopic aspects, it will be easy for you to identify the slides. It won't be a difficult task, because अगर end moment पे सब cram करने जाओगे ना तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा. तो अभी से if you start giving special attention to microscopy, so it will be easy. Like you just have to identify कौन सा organ है. Like you will see kidney में glomerular दिखेगा, liver में portal tract दिखेगा. तो जो भी है, you need to identify the organ. Then you need to see कि what is wrong in that particular slide, and then come to your diagnosis. So it's I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not that tough also. You require a lot of practice, and you should start giving special attention to slides. Now coming to specimens. So specimens भी slides and specimen हर एक different इसका I'm sorry हर एक system का separate PPT है. So उसके अंदर everything is covered. So gross specimens will also be in there. So some teachers, during your viva, some teachers require you to say formal figures again, some teachers don't, and some teachers require you to give the diagnosis as soon as you see the specimen, and some don't. So as a student, just prepare pura description, mucosal surface. First describe the serosa, then describe the mucosa, describe what growth, perforation, etc., any hemorrhage, necrosis, and then tell us why is this specimen, why is this pathology, this particular pathology, etc. So if you while studying only, if you prepare so much, I think you will be covered for your OSP also. That will also be covered, and your viva will also be done. So that's about slides and specimens. In urine interpretation, it's the same as you did in your first year: blood, ketones, sugar, bile salt, bile pigments, the same thing. And again, the PPT covers it all. In the viva, you'll be asked to grade your जो भी test तुमने किया है, the method you'll ask, and then conditions in which the particular thing is seen in the urine. It's not that big of a deal. Then in hematology में again the peripherals में, that is the WBC, RBC count, and DLC. This is and blood group. तो ये same you've done in first year, so you're well versed with it. And then CBC reports. This is a new thing. So in CBC reports, I think if you just give attention to RBC indices, their normal values, and how a peripheral smear looks in different hematological conditions, I think you'll be good to go. So that's about the CBC report. Yeah, additionally, you can refer to your hematology, like physiology journal for hemat, especially for the Viva part, and like the conditions in which the DLC thing, like neutrophilia, kisme hota hai, basophilia, etc. वो सब, and biochem journal again for urine interpretation, Viva is required. Yeah, so this OSP is something which is new. This is, I think, this is replaced your spot-based questions. So this is so again, like I think a specimen, jitna I was made aware of, a specimen will be put forward to you, and then 2-3 questions related to that specimen is asked. So as I said while discussing the specimen, if you if you study comprehensively for the specimen itself, I think you will get all this covered. So yeah. Next. So see, before these PPTs came, everything was to be done from Shushruth folder, that is the images, etc. But now the PPTs are a super comprehensive thing. So from the only thing you need to do from Shushruth folder is do the charts. Like you have to, just remember the normal ranges, and yeah, diagnosis is super conceptual once you know which value is deranged. So yeah, do the charts from Shushruth folder. And yes, journal again. So there are a few, tissue processing and stains. ये सब intricacies है जो textbooks में नहीं होता है. That's given in journal. So you can go through it once. So yeah, I think next. So yeah, Viva I discussed. You have 3 Vivas, right, related to the specimens, clinical tray, and hemat. So hemat and specimen Viva we've discussed. Yeah, in clinical tray, what you what you need to do is like just again, it's covered. Everything is covered in PPTs. Biopsy needles, blood bags, vacuoteners, etc. You need to identify them, give indications, give uses, etc. for those also. Clinical tray is also a very scoring part. So yeah. Everything is done about Viva. Right? Yeah. Okay. Questions?
To be frank, apart from the students, those who have been studying very regularly,
okay.
many of us have missed the practical which were conducted online.
Okay.
So can we trust that at the end of the at the end of the syllabus, the revision sessions that will be conducted by the department will be sufficient enough?
Okay, so to be honest, हमारे offline होके भी हमने बहुत सारे miss किए थे, तो it's not that big of a deal. जो revision practicals है, the teachers will, the PPTs, you'll be asked to make the PPTs. So while making the PPTs ही तुम्हारा revision हो जाएगा जो batch को जो दिया है, and you trust your batch में, they'll also prepare good PPTs for you all. So those revision and they'll only explain during during the revision practicals, and the teachers, if they say something wrong, the teachers will correct them. So I think that this is how your normal practicals also be conducted, and that's the same process as revision practicals. So I don't think anybody will be missing something major in it. And yeah, you should attend your revision practicals if you are underconfident that you might, that if you missed your regular practicals, so you should definitely attend them.
Thank you.
Time wise कैसे होता है बातों का paper completion?
Time wise, see, Gayatri only asked the question, na? Haan. See, like for us, it was a different pattern, and for you, it's different. So I have never attempted your pattern of question paper. That's why I avoided, commenting on time. But since Sharvil said कि 75 minutes में SAQ, it's the same pattern, na? So you just divide like what personally happened with me was I got like in my first paper I got too involved in writing the first SAQ because so it took me like over 15 minutes. So next time what I did was I avoided the question which I knew that I would be able to write more because it ends up taking a lot of time. So you should, just intelligently divide your time. Like you should you should not say that हाँ अभी लिख लेती हूँ बाद में adjust कर लूँगी. Like if 10 minutes you've given a particular time for a particular you've given a particular set of time for that question, 10 minutes, so complete in 10 minutes, leave some place and go ahead with the next question, because I've seen a lot of people, they have missed out on their LAQs in our MHS exam. I'm not even exaggerating. They have missed out on a whole LAQ because they were, writing SAQs so much. So that's up to you. You should decide on your speed how much time you require. It's very subjective. That's why I avoided commenting on it. So yeah, but I would like to say that you should, just give a specific time, and if not completed, just move on to the next question.
Like I'll just add that key. Even if you if you have a particular question, just and if you know don't leave the diagrams for the end कि बाद में कर लूँगा diagram. Do the diagram first, बाद में लिखना तो लिखना चलेगा. Like पैथो के लिए ऐसा कर दो, डायग्राम पहले बना दो. Like most of the people, even in anatomy लोगों ने ऐसा किया रहेगा कि डायग्राम बाद में बना लेंगे, पहले लिख लेते हैं. बट दिस आर सब्जेक्ट जहाँ पे डायग्राम इम्पोर्टेंट है, तो डायग्राम बाद में छूट गया तो राइटिंग मटेरियल को कोई ज़्यादा वैल्यू नहीं है. ड्रॉ द डायग्राम फर्स्ट, अगर टाइम बचा तो लिख लेना.
And by starting के adrenaline rush में you end up writing a lot, so just try and controlling your thing, like जितना पूछा है उतना ही लिखना चाहिए, because then end में the time won't suffice.
हम हिमैट के लिए क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं हम कि व्हाट ऑल दे लास्ट, लाइक जैसे आपने बोला कि फर्स्ट ईयर का भी पढ़ना है, सो इन जनरल हिमैट एज अ होल के लिए क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं प्रैक्टिकल्स में हम?
So हिमैट में as in I didn't get your question, like are you asking me मतलब कौन से पैथोलॉजीज पूछना है कि
मतलब जैसे प्रैक्टिकल्स में मोस्टली वो जैसे एक है कि चार्ट्स दिखाते हैं, लाइक दे शो लिस्ट ऑफ पैरामीटर्स एंड देन दे आस्क द डायग्नोसिस एंड ऑल. So aside from this, what else can we expect in hematology part of the practical?
See, hemat is a major chunk. So वहाँ पे देख first year में you've done peripheral smear, WBC, RBC count, you've done DLC, so and you've done blood grouping. ठीक है, तो ये तीन तो you are familiar with. So that's let's set that aside. In like as you said, CBC interpretation में मतलब they are like this is new to us, but still like what I was being told that you will be given charts, and उसमें it's the same as charts. जो charts थे ना blood groups के, have you referred to that? तुम्हारा practical हुआ होगा ना कि तो उसमें bleeding disorders के charts थे. They'll give you a history that there's this boy who is hemolytic jaundice का parameters देंगे वो, and like वैसे it's if you've done your hematology well and you know कि like bisols wild pigments obstructive jaundice में दिखता है blood में, ये मतलब conjugated कब बढ़ता है, unconjugated कब बढ़ता है, LFT कब बढ़ते हैं, तो ये सब अगर बेसिक चीजें पता है ना तो it will be very easy for you. And जो charts तुम्हें practical में they'll show, like whatever you will be taught, nothing out of the box will be asked, only your understanding of the same charts will be asked in the viva. And viva में अगर उसका viva है तो viva में they can then go like around the same topic. So you should be well versed with your hematology. So what you can do is you can go through your notes a day or 2 days before, see the classification of anemia, how is it classified, see hereditary disorders, see how different pathologies look under peripheral smear, and I think you'll be good to go.
I think they usually ask for specific diseases where something will be raised, or maybe if you are given total WBC count, they will ask where neutrophilia you will see, or eosinophilia, etc. They just ask causes most of the time.
In DLC.
In DLC, and for hemat, then mostly you should know basic causes of your usual diseases or whatever there is in the chart.
और पेरिफेरल्स पे मोस्टली वो स्टेन्स पूछ लेंगे, जिम्सा स्टेन है, इसमें फर्क क्या
exactly.
है, वो सब व्हाट आर द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ स्पीयर वगैरह वो सब पूछते रहेंगे सर, वो पीपीटी में कवर हो जाता है.
They ask like our batch was asked very like basic questions about stains etc. So they might ask you that, or they might go in depth also. So nobody can be sure.
एंड प्रैक्टिकल्स में तुमको जो स्लाइड्स मिलेगी अगर स्पॉट्स रहते हैं अगर तुमको तो लाइक उसमें जो और जाने दो फिर.
Yeah, I had a that in CNS, for example, we were taught just meningitis and the tumors. So
Yeah.
अभी हम लोग वो rest of the topic वो पढ़े कि नहीं पढ़े because they are going very fast. So we cannot cover everything अभी. Complete one chapter in 2 lectures.
Yeah. तो सी पैथोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट को सिर्फ पैथो पढ़ाना है, फार्मैक को सिर्फ फार्मैक पढ़ाना है, इसीलिए वो अपने स्पेस पे जाता है. बट एज अ स्टूडेंट वी हैव टू लर्न all the three and we have to keep on revising also. So please do not go with the pace of the department. मतलब अगर तुम जा भी रहे हो तो I don't think it will be healthy for you, you know, because continuously इतना stress and it will be too much. तो see like patho में they'll like it's very difficult, you know, to complete the entire pathology essay मतलब CNS because बहुत सारे ये है and clinically मतलब जो टीचर्स को क्लिनिकली दिखता है ज्यादा दे टीच यू दैट स्टफ ओनली. मतलब अभी कोई इधर से कोई एस्ट्रोसाइटोमा का कुछ पढ़ाने नहीं वाले. दे टीच यू मेनिंजियोमा जो रेगुलरली दिखता है, ट्यूबरकुलस मेनिंजाइटिस जो दिखता है. सो यू नो कि जो क्लास में पढ़ा रहे हैं दैट इज रियली इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज it's important because it's more common. It's not important because it's easy. ऐसा it's important because it's more common. So you need to focus on that. But then you know if you're looking at as a competitive examination के view में, so then you will have to you know learn about other things also in the CNS in every system. Basically you will have to learn, but for like just you know concentrating on like examination point of view, so the like the IMPs are important and then some here and there like important topics around it which I think you will be given a list of, and as you read ना अपने आप समझ में आ जाता है कि कौन सा इम्पोर्टेंट है कौन सा नहीं. सो व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू से इज डिपार्टमेंट के पेज से मत जाओ एंड जो डिपार्टमेंट पढ़ा रहा है वो तो इम्पोर्टेंट है ही, बट थोड़ा सा यू शुड नो अबाउट एवरीथिंग एल्स.
Yeah, that's what I was saying कि Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that's very important, but हम लोग को नहीं पढ़ा रहे, वो लोग छोड़ दिया, क्वेश्चन में नहीं है इसलिए.
हाँ तो you know ना कि it's important, but see Alzheimer's and Parkinson's will never be asked in your theory examination, at least for us it was never asked, but it is important if you see as a you know like a practicing doctor. तो वैसे ही मतलब यूजर like judge accordingly कि कौन सा टॉपिक है important, उस पर कौन सा ज्यादा फोकस करना है, किस टॉपिक के ज्यादा इन डेप्थ जाना नहीं है. मतलब एस्ट्रोसाइटोमा में कितने टाइप्स है, उसके टाइप्स की और चीज है, तो ये सब लाइक these might help you in you know MCQs or you know any quizzes etc. But long term में सोचे तो Parkinson's and Alzheimer's का treatment is only going to help you because वही तुम्हें ज्यादा दिखना वाला. That's it.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
How do we figure out कि SAQs में कितना लिखना है? Because then basically we'll have to start with the anatomy first, then the pathology, then the gross microscopic features.
No.
So
okay. So SAQs में see if you take a sample, like if you see the previous year questions, is just gross and micro. You don't have to explain the anatomy of the organ or something. That's not required. See, let me just select a question. 1 minute. Yeah. So. So in your this is the general paper, okay. So can somebody give a question, like it's very vague to you know just
alcoholic liver disease.
So see अभी alcoholic liver disease में no need to you know go towards liver का पूरा lobular कितना ये वो नहीं होता है segments, no need to do that. Just start with ALD का what you have to write is, first of all you have to write अगर उस like cirrhosis का definition होता है, ALD का कुछ definition हुआ या कुछ you want to you know just explain it in your own words, you can do that. If definition is there, write the definition. Then the second thing you do is explain the pathogenesis कि ये क्यों होता है, like what is there. Then उसके बाद में you can draw a gross picture and you have to draw like microscopy too, macrovascular जो भी है, early late, बस इतना. And LAQs में तो दे स्पेसिफाई व्हाट दे आर आस्किंग फ्रॉम यू, एंड SAQs में ईटियोपैथोजेनेसिस तो है ही इंपॉर्टेंट, ग्रॉस है, माइक्रोस्कोपी है. अभी हाउ मेनी मार्क्स SAQ? 4 मार्क्स का ही होता है ना. सो या 4 मार्क्स आर प्रीटी वेल कवर्ड इन इतने पॉइंट्स.
ओके राइट, सो एसएक्यू में एनाटॉमी के बारे में ज्यादा कुछ नहीं लिखना,
नहीं
इट्स
नहीं,
जस्ट द
ज्यादा नहीं
डेफिनेशन।
लिखना ही नहीं है, बिकॉज लिखना ही नहीं है, यू डोंट हैव दैट मच टाइम एंड you won't be given marks also for it. You just have to write क्या है वो definition, उसका gross कैसा है, उसका micro कैसा है, उसका etiopathogenesis क्या है, बस. And if you get time, you can write clinical features. But you can type like if you get time.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
What about pathology specimens? Because it was all done online most of the times, so
Yeah.
we didn't attend most of them.
See,
Also,
as I said,
practice of holding them and practicing.
So there is not much of holding. मतलब जैसे एनाटॉमी में ऑर्गन पकड़ते थे वैसा कुछ नहीं है यहाँ पे स्पेसिमेन पकड़ने का. It's just a jar. So the pictures are well enough. Like even we studied half of our like almost 3/4 of our practicals from pictures only, because nobody remembers what we did in 2019 का August to December जो भी था. So then yeah, to gross specimens, what it is just, you know, to be honest, is just English. Like how do you describe the specimen? कि ये serosal surface में it's unremarkable, or you see some nodules, tubercles, mucosal surface में क्या दिखता है. So it's nothing more of a, you know, visualizing खुद से आँखों से. It's just pictorial. So it's no issue कि तुम्हारा ऑनलाइन हो रहा है ऑफलाइन हो रहा है. It's going to be the same. And जो PPTs में जो डिपार्टमेंट ने पिक्चर्स प्रोवाइड किए हैं, they are of very good quality. Social folder में थोड़े से खराब images थे, but the PPTs, like if you haven't made the PPTs yet, I'll ask somebody to share हमारे PPTs का Google Drive link, so you can, you know, just go through it and you'll understand कि it's pretty easy to do it खुद से, like while seeing the pictures. And yeah, if there is a revision practical, definitely attend those. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, like in leukemia, Robbins has given a lot of in pathogenesis. Robin has given a lot of mutations. So, do we have to remember all of them, or there are some?
See, so whatever resource you're using for your competitive examinations, like maybe pathoma or marrow or prep ladder, etc., जो भी उसमें दिया है ना, it's more than enough, because honestly, it's very tiring as a student, and it's very volatile also, and it's not that required also. मतलब सिर्फ इतना पता होना चाहिए कि BCR ABL है, 922 है CML में, बस उसके आगे और क्या है ज़्यादा कुछ यूज नहीं है. So like if you know go through such MCQs, or if you go through the notes offered by these resources, you'll understand कि क्या important है क्या नहीं. Even I did that mistake of focusing a lot on these, but then बाद में मुझे समझा कि it was of no use. So, you know, Sharvil, Abdullah, if you'd like to add something to this.
Like थोड़े काफ़ी like जो हिमैट के चैप्टर्स है, अनीमिया एज वेल, और प्लेटलेट्स है, ल्यूकेमिया है. Like we know a lot about RBC platelets first year से, because कवर बहुत पहले से किया है. WBC में पहले we know neutrophil, eosinophil and monocytes वगैरह. अब उनका पैथोलॉजी इज क्वाइट वास्ट. लाइक क्लिनिकली अगर तुम लोग देखो भी तो लाइक 10 सिस्टमिक क्वेश्चंस है. उन लोग को सिर्फ AML, ALL, CML, CLL, हॉटकिंस लिम्फोमा में आता है. लाइक वो लोग उनके साथ आगे जाते नहीं है. लाइक अगर बट लाइक इफ यू स्टार्ट विथ लाइक रॉबिन से शुरू करोगे तो तुम लोग थक जाओगे. लाइक यू विल डेफिनेटली गिव अप, लाइक काइंड ऑफ. सो लाइक यू कैन स्टार्ट विद रेफरेंस बुक जिसमें लाइक पॉइंट टू पॉइंट दिया है जो पढ़ना है. लाइक मैंने देवेश भी शेयर किया था फॉर लाइक काइंड ऑफ पूरे पैथोलॉजी के लिए. लाइक ल्यूकेमिया के लिए आई रेड देवेश मिशन, इट वाज क्वाइट सेटिस्फाइंग. पूरा रॉबिन्स ऑलमोस्ट कवर किया है एंड इट्स नॉट टायरिंग. लाइक सब याद रह रहा है, रिटेन हो रहा है. प्लस जिसने मैरो सब्स्टिट्यूशन लिया है, प्रेप लेडर है, लाइक दे वर टॉट हिमैट क्वाइट अच्छे से. लाइक यू विल नो क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसने में से आएगा. इवन फॉर MUHS, इवन फॉर आगे का प्रिपरेशन ऑल्सो. बिकॉज इवन अपन लोग के जो रेसिडेंट्स है वो लोग भी रॉबिन्स, ल्यूकेमिया वगैरह PG में पढ़ते हैं. अपन तो ठीक है. सो लाइक स्टेप वाइज जाओ. हिमैट का
not
इतना स्ट्रेस.
required. It's not at all required so much. मतलब
और
if
तुम
you
लोग का
wish
जो
you can do it,
क्लासिफिकेशन
but फिर हाँ
क्लासिफिकेशन इतना लेंथी है, तुम लोग कैसे करोगे? लाइक जो बेसिक क्लासिफिकेशन दी है, इवन इन फार्माकोलॉजी, इन पैथोलॉजी, सब में वैसे ही करो. लाइक जो हेफ्टी चैप्टर्स है पैथोलॉजी में, मोस्ट ऑफ देम जो जनरल पैथोलॉजी बहुत काइंड ऑफ हेफ्टी है। लाइक तुम लोग को क्वेश्चंस बहुत नैरो डाउन होके आता है, पर इन जनरल बहुत वास्ट है। इवन लाइक नियोप्लेजिया बहुत वास्ट है। लाइक
See,
व्हाट आर द
exactly.
मैकेनिज्म ऑफ कैंसर,
Don't
इतना
go
डीप में
itna
मत
in
जाओ।
depth into one topic because then you will miss out on other things. And to be honest, itna kuch clinically to I can't say, but as for like exams or for competitive exams, I don't think itna lagta hai as a student.
वही सो लाइक डू सिस्टमेटिकली। और तुम सबने मैरो वगैरह लिया ही होगा, आई एम क्वाइट श्योर। सो पहले उसमें से देखो कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, कितना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, एंड सिस्टमेटिकली पढ़ो। लाइक रॉबिन्स थोड़े चीज़ के लिए स्टार्टिंग से पढ़ोगे तो थोड़ा लगेगा यार किधर फंस गए वगैरह। सो लाइक स्टार्ट फ्रॉम रेफरेंस बुक, जैसे प्रेप लीडर का है, दिवेश मिश्रा है, तो तुमको समझेगा रॉबिन्स कैसे पढ़ना है बेसिकली। और सिस्टमिक के
Don't
लिए
overwhelm yourself.
सिस्टमिक के लिए प्रिफर कि लाइक जो ग्रॉस एंड वगैरह है, तो तुम लोग को ग्रॉस बहुत पूछते हैं लोग। ऐसा 6 के 6 क्वेश्चन हमको कभी कभी सीधा ग्रॉस एंड एचजी में पूछ लिया था एक बार। सो लाइक ग्रॉस सबका मेजर डिजीज का याद रखो, जैसे कार्सिनोमा, रीनल सेल कार्सिनोमा है, अल्कोहलिक लिवर डिजीज है, वो सब पीपीटी से काफ़ी थियरी कवर भी होता है जो हमने बनाया है। लाइक मेजर चंक ऑफ द पीपीटी विल ऑल्सो कवर थियरी बिकॉज हमने उसमें डाला है इटियोपैथोलॉजी, वो सब में हमने इंक्लूड किया है।
उसके कॉम्प्लिकेशंस, डिफरेंशियल, क्लिनिकल फीचर्स, बहुत बहुत कुछ है दोस्त। एक सिस्टम का पीपीटी इज लाइक 86 और 90 स्लाइड्स लॉन्ग, तो इट्स
काफी
वेरी
हमने
एग्जॉस्टिव।
थियरी भी कवर किया है उसमें। सो लाइक इफ यू जस्ट रीड द पीपीटी आल्सो, लाइक तुम लोग एग्जाम में लिख के तो आ जाओगे
वाइवा,
100%।
हाँ वाइवा भी हो जाएगा।
वाया भी हो जाएगा एग्जैक्टली। और जो स्पेसिमेन होल्डिंग वगैरह ठीक है, लाइक तुमको देख के समझ जाएगा। वो लोग स्पेसिमेन दिखाते खराब है, वो एग्जाम में अच्छे स्पेसिमेन दिखाते हैं। लाइक यू कैन आइडेंटिफाई देख के कि यार ग्लियोमा है, तुम देख लोगे ये मेनिंजियोमा ही है, इतना अच्छे से दिखता है। लाइक बट थोड़े टीचर्स बोलते हैं डायग्नोसिस कैसे दिया। सो लाइक ऐसे डायग्नोसिस मत दो, हमने पीपीटी में डिफरेंशियल डायग्नोसिस भी लिखे हैं सबके। तो लाइक वही बोल कर दिस माइट बी द स्पेसिमेन ऑफ और कभी डायग्नोसिस पूछ लिया तो बोल देना ये डायग्नोसिस है, तुमको तो पता ही रहता है। So, इतना
Again,
stress
yeah, it
मत लो।
depends on teacher to teacher, but ठीक है वो।
Once you have identified a specimen, you have already scored the maximum marks. उसके बाद everything that you are scoring is bonus marks at this point.
इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स वगैरह कर लो, जैसे नीडल्स है, ऐसा लिवर बायोप्सी है, लंपर पंचर है,
Their
वो
indications,
आइडेंटिफाई
contraindications,
करना आना चाहिए वो कैसे दिखता है। उनके इंडिकेशंस देख लो, कॉन्ट्रा इंडिकेशंस देख लो। वो सबसे कॉमन क्वेश्चन है।
वैक्यूटेनियस का कंटेंट क्या है, उसके अंदर वो ईडीटी है तो ईडीटी का मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन क्या है, कैप का कलर, वो ईडीटी का वायल कौन से कंडीशंस के लिए यूज करते हैं, ये सब। सो एवरीथिंग ये सब पीपीटीज में है, एंड ये सब इफ यू डू ना, तो देन मोस्ट ऑफ योर प्रैक्टिकल विल बी रियली स्मूथ, मतलब हो जाएगा।
थोड़े बहुत स्लाइड्स है जो लाइक मिसलेनियस स्लाइड है, जैसे नीवस का स्लाइड है या फिर अपना माइसिटोमा का स्लाइड है, वो सब में इतना स्ट्रेस मत लो, खाली देख लो कैसे दिखता है। और थियरी आजू बाजू देख लो, जर्नल में दिया है अच्छे से, वही जो क्लिनिकल पैथोलॉजी का जर्नल उसमें दिया है उन सब का थियरी, उधर से पढ़ लो। उसके आगे उसमें ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे भी नहीं वो लोग। लाइक वो कभी कभार आ जाते हैं तो देख लो एक बार।
तो फिर सिस्टम पैथोलॉजी के लिए वीडियो लेक्चर्स एंड हर्ष मोहन अगर के तो अच्छे से हो ही जाएगा।
Excellent.
या
For system pathology.
Yeah.
हो जाएगा।
Harshman also has diagrams that can be easily replicated in exam. That's why systemically I prefer Harshman.
हर्षमोहन, या
ग्रॉस वगैरह और डायग्राम्स का रिस्पॉन्ड करो।
Okay, thank you.
I guess we can proceed with the next subject, and other questions can be done at the end of the session.
Okay.
Yep. Yes. Hello. So we come to the third subject. This is a relatively easier subject compared to Patho and Pharmac that you have experienced, and it requires a study method that is a mixture of both. You require some diagrams also, you require some writing skills also, like Pharmac. Next slide, please. Next. How to study? First of all, before getting to study, we have to see how we'll distribute the paper. We talked about timing before with Shri and Shervil, but what I prefer For you, the MCQ and the paper is differentiated. The MCQ will be there for 30 minutes. So, the paper will not be given. If the paper is given, then well and good, you can start there only. But 20 MCQs, 30 minutes, that's a lot of time. For questions, I always do SAQs in a 10-minute per question block. It gives me 30 seconds to get a look over the question and plan how I will attempt it. So I give 10 minutes per question. That gives us SAQs 30 plus 40, 70 minutes. Your EdCom question, I don't know how easy it is. It seems to be easily completed if you know the subject in 20 minutes. So you'll get extra, if you know what you are doing, then you will get extra time from there, which you can add in checking or in LAQs. For LAQs, there are 2 LAQs which are, you don't have any options. So 2 LAQs of 30 minutes each, that gives 1 hour. Our whole paper gets divided very easily into this. Next, please. Starting from MCQs, for 30 minutes, you have a lot of time. MCQs, first of all, are once you study your book once, you can attempt half the MCQs. Once you study Bhalani or Unique, again, never trust answers, you have completed 75% to 80% of the MCQs. If there are 20 MCQs, I will guarantee you that you can attempt 16 to 17 MCQs with this knowledge only. This basic knowledge of going into MHs, you can attempt almost 16 marks of your paper of 100 marks. After that, the questions, the MCQs can be conceptual or just plain easy. The last 4 MCQs you can always attempt, but if you attempt and you know, it gives a good buffer. So like if for some reason in one SCQ you do not know, or maybe out of the options 4 out of 5, you don't know 2 questions, you only know 3 questions. This gives a big buffer to make up for in your SCQs and LAQs. And review books for microbiology, I would advise to do as the year goes on, since it helps you to be on top of your preparation for your competitive exam, and it helps you slightly for MHS. But I would not advise anyone to just do review books of 1 month before MHS, because they do take time, and they do require you to read reference books or see reference books for some questions. And MCQs can come from everything. If, for example, in bacteriology, you have gram-negative or IMPs, gram-positive cocci or IMPs, but the question can come from anywhere. It can come from a small bacteria that you never heard of. It can come from a random topic in fungi that you think one question can be there. So you don't expect it all to be from IMPs. Next question. The next slide. For MCQs, then we go to the theory part. It's the how to score more. In microbiology, you are giving the pathogenesis. You are giving how a disease manifests in the body and how you will diagnose it. Now, as a clinician, you will think you have to write the paper of microbiology like a clinician. What would you do? What tests would you write? You don't fill things as a clinician. You don't mess around as a clinician. You go point wise. So you have to read the question properly. Do not fill the pages in micro. Never fill the pages. If the pathogenesis is asked, don't write the shape of a bacteria or the colony morphology of a bacteria or some small lab diagnosis. If pathogenesis is asked, write the pathogenesis. If prophylaxis is asked, write the prophylaxis. Do not write extra. Negative writing does increase now. For example, if you're writing a lab diagnosis and there's a specimen collection for a UTI maybe, then why you should not do something? Don't collect urine from the bag, because it might be contaminated. This increases your marks. And give reason for collection of a specimen, or for give reason for a test that is commonly used. Why is VDRL used for syphilis? Why is the toxin test used for cholera? Give reasons for that. So why you should collection specimen? Why do you do twice collection in two sputum collection in TB? Because that is intermittent shedding. Why should you use midstream urine, etc. And in microbiology, you can cut down on your SAQ timing very easily using flowcharts. So if you have a pathogenesis, everyone knows how pathogenesis in a body will go stepwise. The particle will invade, then it may have a primary bacteremia, secondary bacteremia. You can very easily write the pathogenesis flowchart wise. And treatment also for diagnosis also. For example, tuberculosis, HIV. There are very good flowcharts given in Shastri at the end for diagnosis and how for if a person comes to you in the clinic, how would you go around diagnosing them? And I always keep whatever extra time I've gotten, 5-10 minutes, to check whatever I have done wrong grammar wise, or if I have a lot of time, then you can go on underlining things. This is the writing part. Diagrams in micro, a lot of people don't draw diagrams because we have never been taught how to draw diagrams in micro. But excuse me. But there's a very good PDF which I'll be sharing after the session, which has a diagram. It's a hall of diagrams for almost every chapter in the whole textbook. So if you draw a diagram instead of writing, the question gets over very easily. The examiner can get the knowledge easier, and it's easier for him to mark, and he remains in a better mood to correct your LAQs, which might be slightly messier. So example for a diagram is if, for example, you have to write the biomedical waste management, right? Waste that are in the bags. You can just draw 4 boxes representing the 4 bags and write it, other than writing them red bag, it contains this, blue bag contains this. Next slide. This coming to a specific type of writing. If people want to screenshot this, take a screenshot of it. This was given by a previous teacher on how to write a lab diagnosis. So this is a very easy format, very easy to remember also. You go from a collection of specimen to transport to a direct examination, culture, identification, treatment, and prophylaxis. This I have followed this for microbiology. What I have done, which some may not like, but it's advisable. You should go, while reading everything, go bacteria wise and make a notebook. I have a notebook just for laboratory diagnosis. So I gave 2 pages or 3 pages to a bacteria, and I had a laboratory diagnosis for everyone, for everything. So I could I had a very easy reference before the exam, before practicals, and while revising also I could add stuff to that. So I have a half a notebook of just laboratory diagnosis. And once you write the laboratory diagnosis, you get to know why you're doing this in a laboratory diagnosis, why you're doing some steps, why is this biochemical reaction there, or why is this identification there. It's very easy, and it makes it very easy for you to revise in the future also. And since you have a different syllabus differentiation compared to paper 1 and paper 2, for example, we had general and bacteria, but you have general and systemic wise. So you can make your laboratory diagnosis in a systemic manner. So all the laboratory diagnosis of GI diseases, all the laboratory diagnosis of food poisoning, all the laboratory diagnosis of CNS diseases. It makes it easier for you to revise also from, if you are reading, then it's easier for us. Go to the next slide, please. Coming to the SAQ and LAQ, the major type of questions in SAQ we'll see are write a prophylaxis, for example, of rabies or polio, serological tests like VDRL, toxin detection test, laboratory diagnosis of a small disease. For laboratory diagnosis, I would advise caution in micro because you can get very carried away in some, because we had laboratory diagnosis of tuberculosis, and there's a lot of things to write in that. And in that also you have to read what is asked as a laboratory diagnosis. They can ask laboratory diagnosis in a form of microscopic or in the form of serological tests. So in microscopes, you will use staining to diagnose the disease. In serological tests, you will use biochemical reactions. You have to see what is asked. You have to read the question very properly, because if you write serological tests for staining, then you get 0 marks for it. Differentiate as an SEQ is very easy for scoring. There are multiple differentiate tables given in Shastri. For LAQ, it's usually a big disease with club questions, or it may be a sterilization question, or it may be bacterial genetics, or it may be a case-based, but I have not seen those in NUHS. And usually they are given in 4 points. So they will ask you to name the organism. They'll ask you what is the common, what is the treatment maybe. They'll ask laboratory diagnosis and a prophylaxis. It goes 1, 2, 2, 3. Sorry, you have 12 marks, right? It will go 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 6. Next question. Next slide, please. Next slide. For SEQs, always keep it within 10 minutes. I always try to keep it within 10 minutes. If I have done the theory within 10 minutes, the writing part is done within 10 minutes, I'll leave a space for diagrams, because diagrams in micro are very easy to draw. So if you get 5 minutes also, and if you're sitting in a better place in the exam hall, so that you can maybe delay your paper gets collected late, you can draw that diagram very easily. It's just 2-3 lines. It's not the HNEs are not really there in micro, because they are very complicated compared to bacteria. And for LAQs, I usually, during MHS, I usually do, there's a rough space in the paper. So I usually scribble out a flow to the question, so that I don't miss out something, or maybe I don't have to insert something where the paper looks bad, or the answer just looks messy, or like I was thinking. So order is very important, and I like to scribble it out. And there are also 30 minutes for an LAQ is an ample amount of time to finish, and I don't think you will have much problems unless you have problems in remembering the answer. Then that's a different issue. Next slide, please. Coming to the books, there are the 2 main books that are referred, which is Anantanarayan and Shastri. I've read both of them in the start to decide which to choose. I liked Shastri better because it was a more point-wise book, but still having all the information. And it's just a more engaging book to read as compared to Anantanarayan. Both of them are good, but some tables, some features of laboratory diagnosis, I would advise to read from Shastri only. Just take a look over from everything. And for MCQs, you have Shastri's review of microbiology. Not really a whole lot to go into here, like Patho or Pharmac, according to books, to the number of books or types of books to refer. Shastri is the main that everybody uses for Parasite also, but that has been included for you now in the book. So it's very easy. Next slide, please. Coming to practicals. Practicals in micro are very easy to score. So for staining, you have 30 marks. 15 marks is either for Zn staining or gram staining, and 15 marks is for your peripheral smear or stool staining. This is the easiest place where you can score marks in practicals. You doing the staining is easy. There's a lot of scope. There's a lot of range for you to go wrong. You don't have to worry that I went over 1 minute or I overstained. Understand? There's a lot of range for you to go wrong. There's a lot of range of error. So don't fret. And if you don't know the staining, and since online, everything is going on online, it may not have happened for you. It may happen later. You can watch videos like what you did for first year. And there's some things that very low marks, like if you get stains on your hands or your lab coat, which shows that you don't have the skill or you're doing it messily, then it gives the examiner that maybe not know, or you're just fumbling around. Does not look nice. Different setups on how to use the microscope, they also instill confidence in the examiner that you are you have read, you are knowledgeable, etc. And you have two vivas on both the stainings, so gram staining, Senner staining, or stool staining and peripheral staining. Vivas are usually simple. They ask what is the stain type used. For example, what is gram stain? What are the steps of the staining that you did? What are the other types of stain that are available? Look up stains that may be used for colorblind people. Very easy questions. What are the appearance that you saw in the microscope? For stool staining, it's not been done yet for you, but usually there's two staining methods in stool staining, which is iodine and saline, and there's bile stained eggs, etc. So once you get to it, you will know that what are the type of bile stained eggs or non-bile stained eggs, eggs that float. Usually they ask what are the larvae that can be seen under a microscope. So also very easy viva for staining. So it's a very easy to score 13, 14 marks in staining. So in your practicals, you have already scored more than 20, 25 marks once you have done staining. For PPE and hand hygiene are the other practicals that you have. This for 10 marks. I would suggest reading Shastri's chapter there is for hospital-acquired infections and use of PPE. It's a 3-4 page chapter, very easy, very nicely given with all the definitions, steps, and the types of PPEs that are there. Should get you done. Then there's the interpretation of reports for 20 marks. We don't know much about this right now, but on speculation, they might give you a Vidal test with serum titers. They might give you a ZN smear with the gradings. They should be easy because the reports you still do in spots. So there's a folder in Shushruth. There's a folder in Shushruth folder. Then there's which has all the reports. Maybe we can pick them out and put it in a different folder so that it is easier. But once a practical of this type is done, then we can expand more on this. Next slide, please. For practicals also, you have the two other vivas, which are of 15 mark each again. We have 4 vivas each. 2 vivas are very easy, which are on 2 staining methods, and the other 2 are the Terry vivas. Terry vivas generally go easier, but micro is as a subject for viva is very easy once you have done laboratory diagnosis and pathogenesis, because those are the normal things asked. Coming from laboratory diagnosis, general and immunology. General, they will usually ask sterilization. They'll ask what are types, or they will ask for immunology. They will ask hypersensitivity reactions, and maybe autoimmune diseases, but very rarely they will ask autoimmune diseases. Tests, ELISA tests or VDRL tests. They might ask you to expand on that. Bacterial genetics, mutation, what are plasmids? Very easy questions. I would advise everyone to go through the last chapter, which contains laboratory diagnosis of last chapter, not last chapter. I think it was changed for you, but there's a chapter in Shastri which contains laboratory diagnosis of urinary tract diseases, laboratory diagnosis of CNS diseases, laboratory tract of respiratory diseases. It covers everything very easily, and you might get a SAQ on this. For parasitology, there's a specimen in microbiology which has multiple worms inside it. So you might be asked for identification and route of entry. Life cycles of everything in parasitology, everything that's important you should know. Life cycle of endemic parasites like Wuchereria, Ascaris, malaria, and then specimen collection and importance that was covered in laboratory diagnosis is also asked very regularly in viva. So what is the use of a wide mouth screw container? Why would you use midstream urine, or what is a sputum container, etc. And hospital acquired infections, HAI chapter is also important. So major nosocomial infections, how they are acquired, how they can be prevented, any treatment for carriers, etc. Next slide, please. Yeah, any question? Anything that I missed?
How do we approach studying microbiology, like systemically or organism-wise?
Since your syllabus is divided systemically, I would suggest you to go systemically. But yeah, you are reading the new edition only, right? For Shastri.
Yes. Yes.
So it is being given systemically only. Going through and reading everything definitely might be hard because your laboratory diagnoses have been also split up systemically only. So I'd suggest you to read systemically only for your syllabus. Yes, Prajwal.
So I have a question, like for revision, should we prepare our own notes and revise that, or go for Marrow prep, or refer review books?
This is a very personal area. So myself, I like my own notes, my written notes. But one of my close friends who has also scored well, she likes to read Marrow notes. So start reading for your term exams. Start preparing short notes. Start reading them for your term exams or maybe for prelims, and then you'll get to know what you prefer, or would you like to put in the effort of making notes, or are you compatible with prepared notes from Marrow?
See, I would like to add on this is that microbiology, the textbook like for microbiology, Shastri is a very comprehensive textbook. Like for the other three subjects like FMT, Pharmac and Patho, we had to refer like 2 to 3 books for attempting our theory examinations. But microbiology ka textbook is more than enough for your theory as well as competitive exams. So it's okay if you like half of us didn't even have Marrow until like too late into our second year. So it's okay if you are not referring any material outside your textbook. The textbooks are really good for clearing your concepts and learning stuff. So just focus on the textbooks, and if there's no pressure, like I personally don't like to make notes because I'm a very lazy person, but I don't like making notes, but some people do and they benefit. So you just have to figure it out on your own. This is a very subjective question. Just do trial and error method, see if you like making notes, see if you are able to revise them again, or do you like referring the textbook again and again? Are you more of a writing person or a photographic memory person? You just figure it out on your own.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can have questions from all the 3 subjects as well.
Okay, for micro, one question. Like you said that because our textbook is in a systemic way, we should follow that. But then the issue happens, say if I take one bacteria, say Streptococcus, it is given at 3 different places: in the respiratory system for pneumonia, in central nervous system for meningitis, and then finally also in endocarditis. So at this time, it becomes difficult to sort of like, I have read endocarditis in the first term and now I am reading the remaining topics. So at the end, when we revise for the exam, won't that become a bit tedious?
But this is where your problem comes in. Your syllabus is divided not according to bacteriology or virology. It's divided according to systemic wise, correct? In the first paper, you have general and CNS, CVS and GI, correct?
Yes.
Similar.
No, actually, they are taking it. They are not taking it in that particular way. They just pick up any of the competencies which are given by CBME this year, and they start teaching any topic. Like it is not systemically also.
What do you mean by competencies?
Paper. He's asking for the paper. Yes, it is divided like that.
Yeah, because in the MUHS PDF, it has been divided. Your MUHS will be divided according to a systemic basis, not a bacteriological basis or virological basis, which was still now. So, if you want to study, for me, I'll say it is easier to study all of bacteria first, all of viral first. It is easy to study like that. If you want to study it like that, I would say then go for the second edition of Shastri and do it like that, because it is very well given.
See,
But
I just add that key, like the questions you will mostly get like key, write the diagnosis, lab D for
Yeah.
organism for food poisoning. Like
Hmm.
then you have to go for, you have to consider virus, bacteria as well as parasites. So like it's easy कि जैसे अब्दुल्ला ने बोला कि हम लोग का शास्त्र में वैसा ही था कि
But then,
बैक्टीरिया
yeah,
वायरो.
again, like, हाँ, हमारे शास्त्री में पीछे like everything was given in a
हाँ.
comprehensive manner.
So I
So
guess
then,
that's beneficial for like systemic you will get kind of exhausted and so confused भी
hmm.
हो सकते हो like, so like as Abdullah said
मतलब
कि तुम लोग
if there is a difficulty in learning a particular bacteria, so what you can do is you can read हमारा edition of शास्त्री, so that you get staph का या strep का पूरा एक जगह पे. And since you've already read in bits and pieces, I don't think it will be it will take a lot of time for you to go. So you can just go through it ताकि you just get a like idea कि अच्छा हाँ ये बैक्टीरिया ये सब कॉज करता है. बट तुम लोगों का कैसे कि ये सब चीजें इज कॉज्ड बाय दिस बैक्टीरिया. So thoda I understand it will be like starting में it will be very difficult to recollect and reorganize, but then in the long term देखा जाए तो I think your pattern is more beneficial.
Amay, if you want to make it easier for yourself, you can make a note and just strep. You can make the laboratory diagnosis of the three diseases caused by strep in one go, so that you have strep under one roof, so that you can go ahead and then read it anytime.
Also for
Okay, not
pharmac I like to add that since अभी दोनों का एक टर्म तो हो गया है, so like only 6.6 थोड़ा टाइम बचा है सेकेंड ईयर को, and like most of them you I guess must be using KET as a first book. So in many chapters the classification is quite tough, like they are given the basis of chemical names. So it's advisable वो सब रट्टा मत मारो. Like there are quite good classifications given in Garg and other textbooks. Follow that because वही के एग्जाम में पूछने वाला है. Like for malaria you can't just classify on the basis of chemical names. You have to classify based on the mechanism of action. Like कि liver schizondicides है, erythrocytes है, radical curia and prevents transmission. वैसे classify करो. Even for epilepsy, classify according to the disease. Like स्टेटस एपिलेप्टिकस है, फिर GTCS है, मायोटोनिक, वैसे क्लासीफाई करो. डोंट क्लासीफाई ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ अपना केमिकल नेम्स. सो लाइक ऐसा क्लासीफाई करोगे एंड डेट विल बी क्वाइट इजी. एंड KET में ऐसा दिया है कि लाइक सपोज फॉर कैल्शियम चैनल ब्लॉकर्स दे हैव गिवन हर एक ड्रग का अलग अलग से, एंड सब चैप्टर्स में ऐसा ही किया है. लाइक फॉर कैल्शियम चैनल ब्लॉकर डाइपायोडीन ऐसा, एम्लोडिपिन, निकार्डिपिन सबका अलग दिया है. But the basic crux of each drug of a class is the same, right? So like just write the क्या बोलते हैं common characteristics of a drug and just write अगर कोई special characteristic किसी drug का जैसे निमोडिपिन जैसे सेलेक्टिव just write in front of it क्या है ऐसा इसका special characteristics है. So it's easy for you कि जब रिवाइज करने बैठोगे तो अच्छे से रिवाइज होगा, जल्दी रिवाइज होगा. KET you can't revise ऐसे 2-3 बार because हर ड्रग का अलग अलग से दिया है, so थोड़ा प्रॉब्लमेटिक हो जाएगा. Just make a common characteristics of a drug, enlist the drugs, and special कुछ side effect या फिर effect है वैसा note down कर लो. That will be quite easy. Any more questions?
I had a doubt for patho. For pathology, if you start reading a chapter, like suppose today I decided that I'll study CVS. So अगर first मैं मतलब करूँ क्या? Like should I start directly reading from the Robbins या फिर पहले कोई वीडियो देखूँ या फिर पहले कोई रिव्यू बुक पढूँ? So how should I go about that?
See, so I think I'll tell you what I did. So I saw the video lecture by Pathoma. Like I saw Pathoma का lecture and then थोड़ा सा overview मिल गया था. Like Pathoma is not as deep as Robbins, but थोड़ा सा overview you get. Otherwise, if you directly start reading ना तो थोड़ा सा confuse हो जाता है कि ये you just start reading it as a story कि हाँ ये है. But then once you get the overview now you can correlate things. So when you're reading Robbins का हर एक chapter के नीचे there's a huge index given कि हर एक pathology के अंदर what pathologies you have. So हर एक organ के अंदर so then you can read that index, get an overview and then you can start reading. And my advice is that जो microscopic features है ना, so there's पाम लेंथ के जितना हर एक डिजीज के बारे में इतना बड़ा माइक्रोस्कोपिक फीचर्स होते हैं, ये लिम्फोसाइट पे, मोनोसाइट पे, जो भी है, तो इतना इन डेप्थ you can read it once, but then it's very difficult to revise it. So then just underline and highlight what you know is the pathognomic of that particular disease. So that's how you can that's how you can learn pathology. Like that's how I did it. Now Sharvil and Abdullah can answer how they do.
Same for like systemic, what I did was like watch the video lectures first to get an overview. Then I read actually Devesh Mishra, like it's just like carbon copy of Robbins only. एंड अगर जब सी बिकॉज फर्स्ट जब रॉबिन्स पढ़ोगे तब समझेगा नहीं क्या पढ़ना है उसको, पढ़ते जाओगे पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि पढ़ लिया फिर याद नहीं रहता. सो लाइक टू जस्ट गेट एन ओवरव्यू आई डिड मैरो फर्स्ट, फिर देवेश मिश्रा कर लिया. इट वाज क्वाइट ऐसा बहुत ज़्यादा सफिशिएंट था. फिर जो अगर लगा कि रॉबिन से करना चाहिए, आई जस्ट नोटेड डाउन ऐसा अलग से पेपर में, एंड फिर मेरे नोट्स तैयार हो गए बेसिकली. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर मैं जस्ट सिर्फ नोट्स रिवाइज किए पैथोलॉजी के लिए.
Okay, thanks.